Welcome, trust builders. I'm Sue Dyer, and this is Lead with Trust, where we explore how leaders can build their business on a foundation of trust and reap the rewards of becoming the top performer in their market. Leaders that understand how to use and leverage trust are uniquely positioned to disrupt their industry and dominate their market. Distrust of businesses and business leaders is at an all-time high. Trusted businesses must have trusted leaders, and your team, your customers, and your vendors are waiting for you to step up and elevate the level of trust in your business. My hope is that this podcast can help you start your trusted leader journey. Well, welcome to Lead with Trust, Megan Thompson. So happy to have you here with me.
Thank you, Sue. I'm happy to be here too.
So I've known Megan for, 3, 4, 5 years now, and she is one of my favorite people. And I especially wanted her to be on the podcast because I think she has so many insights and sits in a place and a perspective in the world where she really understands building wealth. And I see so many entrepreneurs and business people who make good money and don't build wealth. So I want to talk about that, but I also believe that she has become who she is because of the level of trust she's been able to create. I want to get some insights for all of us from that too. So it's always great to talk to you, but I have a weird question I ask everyone. And it's like, when you were in high school, what group did you hang out with?
Oh, you know what? It's funny. I actually love that question. Nobody's actually ever asked that to me. But I was a floater. I was never the popular person. I was never the smartest individual as far as book smarts is concerned, especially in high school. But I had friends in each one of those different pods. I was never an athlete. I kind of circled around, and I had a core group of girlfriends, but what I really enjoyed was getting to know people from different, I guess you could say, circles. And growing up, I have a sister, and she's a little bit older than I am, but she has a very different personality than I do. She's a little bit more reserved. And Sue, as you know me, I'm not really reserved. So my parents, they had a game that they played with us when we were in the car going to, family outings or events with them or over to dinner at some of their friends' homes. And it was the who, what, when, where, and how game. And the reason that we play this is because my sister, she was a little bit more reserved, like I said, a little quiet. She's not shy, but she's the kind of person that kind of stands back and looks and reviews and views and assesses a room before she jumps in. And so that game was kind of a guide and a guide to really show us and tell us how to have a fluid conversation, even when we're not necessarily comfortable with those conversations. So, who are you? Tell me about yourself. How did you get where you are? When did you become, or when did you move, or when did you become a father or mother? Or when did you do X, Y, Z? And so that kind of fluid conversation or kind of linear path to a conversation allowed me to, get to know people on a different level and feel comfortable with asking more questions. So to circle back, I just really have always loved getting to know many different kinds of people. And so I was never really in a group. I was a floater, and that's what kept it interesting, and it still does today.
That's interesting, because I always ask this question because I try to frame, well, tell us about yourself, your profession, and where you are in your profession.
Yeah, so I sold clothes before I became a financial advisor. I worked at Cintas, which is a company out of Cincinnati, and I did that after college. I was really out there selling uniforms to hotels and hospitals. And I was successful. I was young. I was having a great time. I was driving up and down the San Francisco coast, slinging uniforms, is what I like to say. And I really learned that I could do it and I could make it on my own. But I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. And I had a passion for relationships and getting to know people. And because of my father, he was in the finance world as well, I had a background and understanding of what a financial advisor is and what they do. And so I became a financial advisor when I was 26 years old. I'll just say over 15 years ago. And when you're 26, Sue, nobody's going to give you their money. I mean, I was out there just hustling. Now, over 15 years later, I'm a senior vice president at Wealth Management at Merrill Lynch. I'm a partner in the Thompson group. I have a team of phenomenal individuals that work alongside me and my partner, Sean, that really help cultivate those relationships. And so I have a really great fundamental sounding board with all of my teammates to make sure everybody's taken care of. But it's been a journey. It really has.
It sounds to me too like the couple things I heard. Certainly, your high school methodology of sort of floating around. I would call that networking in a business terms. and then your the games that your family played and your father's background in finance. You know, all of us have these pieces of the puzzle that sort of come together in a way that build who we are and end up informing what we do. And I think that's so interesting to see. So thanks for that. I know, congratulations, you are one of the Forbes top women's wealth advisors in the country. And I know you've been able to create a lot of deals with people to take on like their whole family or their investing. And I know that takes a great deal of trust. So tell me about kind of what you've learned along the path, because I know you're one of the best in the world at this. So give us some advice.
Well, my palms just got sweaty because that's a big introduction, but it's a big responsibility too. So, you know, there's actually been several, I like to call them pivot points in my life. And they have allowed those pivot points, whether they're good ones or bad ones, you have to be able to learn the lessons from those points. And I've actually probably had a little bit more pivots than most throughout my life and throughout my career. But what I have realized is, you know, a lot of people, and I'll just be authentic here, a lot of people become financial advisors to make a lot of money. They do. You're not going to become a financial advisor because you just, you know, want to be mediocre. And that's just the fact. And unfortunately, what I have found is a lot of people carry that mentality throughout their career. And I think that mentality holds you back. You know, the first couple of years, like I said, when I was 26, I was hustling. I was, you know, trying to be what the mold told me to look like and act like. And I was, you know, cutting my teeth. I was learning the ropes, and that's kind of what you need to do the first several years. But when I went through another pivotal moment in my life, I had a little bit of breathing time to take a step back and realize, who do I want to be? Why am I not being as successful as I quote unquote think I should be at this point in my career? And what do I need to change? And so the thing that really resonated with me is, Megan, you can't live the rest of your life not being you. You cannot be somebody that you think you should be. You need to be authentic. You need to be yourself. And so I went back to those high school days. I want to ask you the who, what, when, where, how. I want to be part of your family. I want to guide you for years alongside your entire family. So I actually really stepped into just being real and being me, probably around 20, 29, 30, 31, those ages, or that time frame in my life. And when I really sat down at a table and started talking with my clients, just like I would talk to my friends or my peers, it really opened up a path of communication that wasn't there before. Because what I think I was doing at that point in time that was different was I was actually listening instead of trying to quote unquote sell. And when I turned on my authentic self, and I know that's such a big, huge, hot word, buzzword these days, but when I was able to realize that, yeah, I'm a young female, I have crazy red curly hair, I'm not an industry standard, I don't know a ton about every single product or investment vehicle out there, but man, I'm going to learn. But when I turned on that authenticity of saying, I'm going to be able to help you, and these are the reasons why, but also if I don't know the answer, I'm going to find out for you. And that is what really, in my opinion, changed my entire career and my view on my industry and my life. So that was a big pivot moment of, people are attracted. It's kind of funny. There's a saying, your clients are like you. And I know many different financial advisors, many different personalities, good, bad, all over the world there with the personality traits. And it's funny, you can spot a client and their advisor. From a mile away whose client that is, just because of their attitude and the way they walk and the way they hold themselves and the way they present themselves. And so I wanted to build a business that is open, that deals with complex situations, that deals with diverse individuals. And the beauty of it is I have been able to build a business that's really structured that way too.
That's so interesting. So many things you said, you've got to unpack some of this. I love the idea that when you became your authentic self, which I guess a lot of people would say, I don't know who that is even today. But, so I want to know a little bit about how did you discover your authentic self, because that's a process in of itself, I'm sure, and a story. Yeah. And then the other thing I loved, you said something like the client matches the advisor. I want to know more about that. So let's unpack those two things.
So the process, I've always been an old soul. No matter what age, I've always been an old soul. I've always wanted to be myself. I've always pushed the limits. I was always the person in college. I was a coxswain on the men's crew team at Ohio State. I was traveling around in 18-passenger vans with a bunch of smelly guys, right? I heard things, I rolled with it. I'm a type of person that rolls with the punches, has a lot of fun, is gregarious, but will get the job done and get serious when I need to. So I've always been that kind of personality anyway, but really stepping into my authentic self there was a time frame in my life where I was acting and trying to fit into a box of kind of a one how do I say this? Of a mentality that wasn't true to me. I'm a very open person. I don't care if I'm very inclusive for people of color, LGBTQ individuals. I understand that is a part of everyone, but I also understand that it really has, the dollars and cents are how I can help lift up and build an underserved sector of the market or segment of the market. So I have a real passion for education too. Even if you're not going to become my client, I always want a client or a prospect or somebody to walk away learning something, having something else to walk away with, whether it's a solid financial plan that they can implement somewhere else. But I have a big passion for that. But that allows me an understanding how I can truly help and change individuals that might not have access to advice that is my passion project. And that allows me to be my authentic self. And yeah, I'm not, there's these movies, Wolf of Wall Street, there's all this crazy stuff out there, and they're fun movies, but it's not reality, not my reality, not my business's reality, thank God. But the authentic pivot point, it was a struggle. I really needed to grow to a place where I felt comfortable enough in my own skin. And that took a lot of therapy, a lot of conversations with family, a lot of, hey, this is who I am. You might not agree or disagree, but I am going to go in this direction. You can follow me if you want, but if you're not, get out of my way.
So I see a couple things with that. I just think it's so exciting. I want people to just think about this for themselves. I see two things, in trust, we have a trust pyramid. So it's trusting yourself, trusting between interpersonal relationships, trusting a team, trusting an organization, trusting inner organization, and each one gets more complex. But it's like you went from trust, you learned to trust yourself, but you also answered and found your why. Why are you doing it? And that allowed you, those two things merging allowed you to become authentic. And I think that's true for all of us.
Yeah. And so I was talking to my husband last night just about this podcast, because I was obviously really excited to be on here with you. But to become a leader, I've heard so many stories in corporate America about leaders that are volatile or angry or think that quote unquote bullying can get somebody motivated. And you and I both know that is just total BS. It is total BS. Those are not motivators at all. And so I'm a firm believer, and I've had it's a kind of a privilege to be able to take a step back and look at your business and look at how you are managing individuals, managing clients, managing teams, et cetera. And that's a privilege, I think. So I was able to take a step back and say, who do I want to be in my role with my team? What kind of leader? What kind of communication? What kind of openness do I want them to have with me? Because I could say, if somebody comes to me with an issue, I could get angry, I could get upset, I could get pissed, I could slam a door. But I know that now when they call me, I'm like, all right, this happened. How do we fix it? And let's move forward. And let's fix the process so it'll never happen again. Let's have a full conversation. And that next step of having those authentic conversations with the people that you work with, as well as your clients, that allows that line of communication to be open between the two of you or the four of you or your team, right? And I think, I want clients to come to me and talk to me about, hey, something's happening with my child and they're not doing well. What do you think we should set up for them in the future? They're addicted to drugs, or they're doing well. Let's support them even more. Or hey, my husband and I are having some issues. I get into the nitty gritty, and a lot of people call me first to talk about the what if. What if I do this? What if I do that? How do we plan for that? And I seriously feel in my heart that it is a privilege that clients decide to choose me to walk through life with them.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah. So authenticity seems to be the theme. And years and years ago, I always said, you can't fake caring. People see through that, you have to care about people. You have to really, truly care about them. And then they will open up and you can listen, and you will know what needed to happen. It won't be a mystery. I think so many people that are out there trying to lead their business are doing it in a vacuum, because you talked about listening, but people won't tell you things if they don't trust you.
It is so true. And, I've mentored a lot of young financial advisors over the years. And the one thing that I always tell them is to slow down and be present in a conversation. Look somebody in the eye. Don't breathe. This is a fluid conversation, and that art of conversationalism has kind of gone to the wayside because of technology a little bit. But, you need to be able to read a room. You need to be able to have a conversation and be present. And of course, I have been accused of, my mind's 3 steps ahead, but where are you right now? Of course, I've been accused of that before. But slowing down and really listening, and then understanding your business enough to know what solutions that you can bring to the table, that is, in my opinion, that's kind of the nirvana, the epitome of being in your groove and in your flow. And I had a client the other day. He said he owns his own business. I work with a lot of business owners, and he happened to be in construction. And he said, "You know what, Megan, I started working with you about 5-6 years ago." And I said, "Yeah, you did. You came to me. A lot of business owners do. This. Their heads are down in their business, working their tail off, hustling. And then they pop their head up around 50 and they're like, oh, so now what do I do? What do I do with this, right? And how do I, translate this into wealth and generational wealth and structure it so you have both things growing, your business and your wealth?" And he said, "Meg, I know sometimes you didn't have the answer, but what you did say was, hey, I'm going to get back to you and I'm going to get you that answer." And he said, "Megan, you were honest and you were real about knowing what you knew and what you didn't know." And, I was thinking, I've contemplated on that a lot over the last couple of years since he said it. And, Sue, I might not always be the smartest person in the room, but man, I have the cell phone number of the smartest people in the room to get that answer. And so I think it's important to know, what be aggressively unapologetic about your knowledge. But when you don't know, you have to have a little bit of knowledge and kind of a way of saying, I don't know. I'll find out. I'll get it for you.
I hope you're enjoying the show. Sorry to interrupt, but if you're looking to improve any area of your life, one of the first things you'll want to do is to figure out where you are today and where the gaps are, and then really get clear on where you want to go. Visionary leaders need clarity, like human beings need oxygen. It's essential. That's why my team and I put together a great starting point for you on your trusted leader journey. It's called the Trusted Leader Profile, and it will allow you to take charge of the atmosphere in your business by helping you understand your trusted leader style and how you can elevate the level of trust in your business. With understanding, you can make better choices and grow the level of trust and your results. For being a listener to the show, it's 100% complimentary for you to access the profile. All you have to do is go to www.sudyco.com/profile. And Sudyco is SUDYCO. Again, that's www.sudyco.com/profile. I really believe that the profile will help you understand the norms you bring to your business and unlock the next level of leadership for you. To me, it's about trusting yourself that you can get the answer, and not about ego, but about being of service to the people that you're trying to serve. Yeah.
There's a quote. I have a Peloton and I'm obsessed. Just probably like a lot of people that are listening. And one of the trainers, I think his name's, oh God, of course I'm missing the name now, but she says, "No ego, amigo." Like, don't take that somewhere else. Just stick your head down and keep going. And, one of the things that I think a lot of people forget, especially younger individuals, and I'm not saying I'm not one of the younger individuals to older individuals, but I'm kind of there in the middle here. But, what I did was I just kept repeating the steps over and over and over again. Keep doing the process, keep doing the reaching out, when you say you're going to call. Do the steps, do them well, and repeat them for years. And it works.
So
It
how
is
do you determine
painful.
what the steps are that will work for you?
You know, I had a phenomenal mentor. He's also my business partner now. He helped guide me, which helped me kind of understand the true fundamentals of a start to finish financial advising kind of stepping stones with clients. And a lot of times you don't have that outline. So I was really lucky. And he is like, all right, Megan, here's the stepping stones, and here's kind of the frame and the skeleton of a conversation that I think that works for me. You take it, you mold it into what you want it to be, you craft your own conversation in a way that's authentic to you and allows you to be that trusted person for the clients across the table from you. And so I think having a mentor is very important, but I don't think mentors just like pop into your life. You have to go search for that person, and you have to go out there and ask, say, hey, I like what you're doing. Can we sit down? Can we have a conversation? And by the way, I'm going to follow up with you every 3 months to circle back if you don't mind. Like, you need to insert yourself into that person's life, because man, a mentor, somebody that you look up to, they're busy too. So you need to take that ball and you need to make it work for you.
That's really interesting. I love that idea of the stepping stones to really creating those trusted relationships that will then blossom into this long-term relationship. Because I heard you talk about that too. I'm of that mindset too. I want long-term ongoing relationships so that you can make a difference.
Right. Yeah. I think, it's when I sit down with, clients that I've never met before, and I start having a conversation, the last thing that I talk about is your money. Clients are looking for financial advisors, but I'm also trying to figure out if you're going to be a good fit for me and for my practice. And some people might not fit in my business model or my practice, and vice versa, right? I might not be a good fit for you, but I'm sure as heck going to find an advisor that will work better with you than maybe I would. I don't like to let people kind of hang out there and float without a next step with somebody else or a next step with me. And so, my conversations with individuals are, about their families, about their kids. I love learning about business owners. How did you even start this company? Let's talk about that, because man, you're wildly successful. People, let's be honest, Sue, people love to talk about themselves. And I love it too, because I pull that information out on a daily basis. And so getting all that information up front and really learning about, partners, husbands, wives, goals, dreams, those are part of that skeleton kind of pathway and that guide of conversation that I need to learn about. Is there a child that needs, a little bit of assistance down the line? Let's figure out what that robust, comprehensive plan is. It's not about a portfolio, or not only about a portfolio. It's about the guidance alongside and the different roadblocks or stumbling blocks that might come up that we actually have to look into.
That's awesome. So I think hopefully everyone's got the idea that Megan is not here about money. She's about helping you grow your wealth, and your wealth isn't just about money.
Yeah. Wealth. So I actually gave a presentation. I think this was about 4 years ago down in Silicon Valley at one of the large tech companies down there. And I was one of the last presenters to go. And, it was on women, wealth, and wisdom. And unfortunately, women are not that well educated in investments, although we control about, I think it's 90 to 96% of the wealth. Okay. So, a lot of these companies have me come out and just speak Finance 101. Let's talk about ESPP or RSUs or stock options. Let's really give you kind of the investing, and I'm air quoting here, investing for dummies in person. Let's talk about this. Let's have conversations. let's get into a situation where you feel comfortable to raise your hand and ask a question. And I got up on that stage and I said, in my opinion, freedom is built by understanding your wealth and understanding what that wealth can do for you. It allows you to make authentic choices. It allows you to make unencumbered or choices to, heaven forbid, leave a marriage, leave a career that you hate, pivot in your life, and it allows you to make those choices more freely. And so that's another passion. Let's see what this money can do for you so you can get to your personal why faster.
I love it. I love it. Now, I know in your industry, it's highly regulated. So, how do you find clients? And we talked about why they stay, but what, maybe it's some of their steps. Tell us more about that, because I think there's so many business leaders out there who want to grow, but they don't really know what to do, and they're not even regulated. So,
yeah,
you're constrained. So tell us what you do within the constraints that you have.
So earlier in my career, I was probably out on the town 6 of 7 nights a week, getting to know people. My business is all relationships and all referrals. So I was on the board of directors for the Art Institute in Cincinnati. I was on, part of Cincinnati Sea Change, which is individuals under the age of 40 that were going to be emerging leaders in Cincinnati. I was part of, Sue, you name it, I was part of it. 3 years in, I was exhausted, just exhausted. And so I decided, instead of the spray approach or the wide net approach, to narrow my focus a little bit more. And now I primarily work with high net worth individuals and business owners. And a lot of people are going to throw that out and say that, let's just be honest. But I really love working in more complex situations with more complex wealth issues, estate planning, tax mitigation, more, I would say, constructive planning, or complicated planning, I would say. But once I started focusing on business owners, and once I started really building a name for myself within my book of business, the referrals just started to come. I mean, the majority of I would say 100% of my business now is referral based. A client of mine loves what I'm doing. Hey, I have a buddy. I want him or her to meet with you. They're awesome. Go meet with Megan, have a conversation. And a lot of people, it's so funny. Some people come to me and say, well, I've never worked with an advisor. I don't know what you really do, but I need help in X, Y, Z. And that is the only way to start a conversation, is to come in kind of full open kimono. What can you do? I need help. And so the majority of my business is all referrals now. But when I was starting, I was out there trying to get in front of people. And that's really how I built it. I mean, it was a struggle. It was the first 5 years of this career for anyone is rough, because you kind of kill what you eat, and or you eat what you kill. And it's rough out there, especially for a young female. I was always saying, man, I can't wait till I have gray hair in glasses. And so you're looking at me now, I have a little gray hair and I'm wearing glasses. It takes time. Yeah, but
everything takes time. It seems to me, though, yeah, it's no different than any other business that, you have to niche down so that you can penetrate, yeah, and become an expert in something where you can be of more value, so that then people say, oh, you're the expert in this area, or you offer such a depth of knowledge in this area that you're the person I need. So it sounds like it's basically what everyone needs to do. It's hard when you're first starting to decide where that is. It sort of has to find you, yeah, which is always hard in startups of any sort, whether, yeah, it's a career or a business. Then you sort of figure out, where do you fit?
Well, it's on that point. How I usually say it is, I think every family, individual, every business has to have their own personal board of directors. That's how I've kind of honed that. And if you think about it, you as an individual, once you get to a certain point, or a business owner, once you get to a certain point, you can kind of take a step back and look down on your life and say, okay, wait, my wealth, I need to treat it like a business. This is serious money. What do I do with it? Who is my CPA? Who is my estate attorney? Who is my financial advisor? Who is my guide? Who is my, how does this all work? And I like to say I'm kind of the quarterback of all of that. And so I think every family or every individual business owner, et cetera, needs their own board of directors. And so that's how I look at that.
Yeah, I love that idea. I hope everyone will listen to that, because I just see so many business owners over my career that have made a lot of money, and they have spent a lot of money without investing any money. And so to me, you have a business in order to grow your wealth, but I don't think a lot of people do that.
Yeah, it's funny. It's not about how much money you make at all. It's about how much you save and what you do with it.
Yeah. I know right now for all my three grandchildren, all grandsons, and on their birthdays, we put $500 into a fund, and an index fund. And on Christmas, we put $500 in, and then every month we put $100 in for them. And we've probably been doing this, I don't know, 3-4 years, something like that. And it's up to like $30,000 for each of them. And we tell them, if you just leave that in there, and even if we don't add any more money, you'll have $1 million in like 20 years. So you've got to invest, and you've got to put the money in, and you've got to teach the kids too, as they're young, because in an index fund, they love looking at all of the different things they own. Oh, we own Coca-Cola. Oh, we own Pepsi. Oh, we own Tesla. Oh, we own, all these different things, and they love feeling like they own these different businesses, which I think is so important. One of the things I do know about financial advisors, a couple things, is I think they're no longer on the list of people that are the most hated of all professions. I think that's been taken over, but they're always in the top 10. So people are resistive, and people are afraid to have a financial advisor. Probably some of it, they don't know what they do, and some of it is the control issue. So tell us a little bit about that, and how do you overcome this kind of resistance that people tend to have, and why do people need financial advisors? I just want so much from people, work so hard for their money, that have their money working for them is important too.
Yeah, no, it's financial advisors and dentists, right? So I think that that stereotype is still 100% out there. Like, well, why would I hire you when I can do it on my own? And I think that is a valid question. And I think, some clients don't need some people don't need financial advisors, right? You're young, you're still trying to build a little bit of your wealth, you're starting. But when your wealth and when your life gets a little bit more complex, and you need more robust advice, that's when you step into the financial advising world. But you're right, a lot of people don't know the depth and breadth of what a financial advisor can bring to the table. And you don't even know that until you really sit down with somebody. I mean, I'm talking, like I said, I'm kind of like the hub or the quarterback of the wheel. And there's all these different spokes that are out there that I can help clients with, whether it's, lines of credit based on their assets, whether it's complex estate planning strategies that I can help guide them through. I think the best thing that I can bring to a client is my knowledge of what other people have done and how I've helped them save money, reduce taxes, and reduce fees. Really more complex situations. And it's really about that trust aspect first. So a lot of people say, well, how do I know what financial advisor to choose? Or how do I know what to even start with. And I always say, and it circles back to the title of this podcast, Wealth is Built on Trust. If you're sitting down with somebody and you don't trust them, get up from that table and walk away. Because that means that you're not going to tell them everything, and you don't trust anything that they're going to recommend. So you need to find a conversation, not a conversation, but a table where you really feel comfortable sitting across from that financial advisor. And then that allows them to really reveal what they can help you with. I mean, to be honest, I sat down with some clients and said, I actually don't think I can help you. I think you're doing everything right. But I have other clients or prospects that come and sit down at the table with me, and I say, have you thought about boom, 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 structuring your wealth in a different way, leveraging this pot of money to help grow your business in a different way? Have you thought about gifting now versus after you pass, and really being able to see the fruits of your labor through the next generation? There's a lot of different ways that an advisor can help, but it's really just built on that trust and that first conversation.
And I find that so, I just want everyone to understand that that's so important. And in the industry that you're in, it's an industry that is feared. It's feared for a couple reasons. One is because people don't understand it, so there's fear around it. And then there's fear because, it's my wealth and I may lose control. And then there's so much in the vernacular out there in the world about, financial advisors who were not trustworthy. And so there's just levels and levels and levels of fear around this. So that's why I wanted to have you here today, so that we could say, here's somebody who's working in an industry that is really mired in fear and is kicking it and building high trust, high performing relationships. So I just love that. So question I have for you is, if you could wave a magic wand that could increase the trust level in your industry, what would you do?
Oh, Sue. Repeat that one more time.
Yeah. If you could wave a magic wand that would change the trust level in your industry, what would you do?
I would, this is also a passion project for me, maybe down the line as I continue to grow my business, but I would figure out how to encourage individuals to speak authentically about their wealth and ask questions to advisors. I would have more advisors, more open conversations, and allowing each of those individuals to walk away with something that they learned. I think that my industry, the majority of financial advisors are 65 years old and older. And a lot of people don't feel comfortable walking into the office or the offices and sitting across the table from somebody that doesn't look like them, or somebody that doesn't have the same experiences as them. And I want there to be more authenticity or more available options for individuals to really understand how to make their wealth work for them, instead of the fear driving. I wish there was no fear behind talking about money. I mean, women specifically, Sue, you know it. We go to a party and the majority of the women are congregated in one corner, the majority of the men are congregated in the other. The guys are talking about a hot stock pick, the women are talking about something different. Not my circles, but some circles, right? And we as women, we need to have these conversations and not be shy about building our wealth. It's not no ego, amigo. It's not about your ego. It's not how much you have. It's how do we make our money work efficiently for us, and how do we grow it authentically, and how do we make those changes? And I wish that wand would allow those conversations to be more freely had.
Well, I think that's really interesting, because you're probably right. What you think about, what you talk about is what you tend to manifest. And if we don't talk about it, we don't think about it, then we're not really creating it. And I think there's men too that don't talk about it either. We need to have more conversation about and help each other build wealth.
Yeah.
Of course, in a legal manner, but yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. I do think one of the reasons that I think that I have been as successful as I have been so far is for me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, if you sit down across from the table, there's no air of ego. I'm just sitting there. I don't have a certain posture, and I feel like the wall comes down, and a lot of people, both men, women, everyone feels really comfortable in a room with me asking questions and really authentically being there. And so not having that ego as an advisor is really, really important, because you never know the struggles of the person across the table from you. You just have to be real about it. So,
well, and I think it goes back to what we talked about at the top, which is authenticity and really caring. And you have a definite why as well. So leave the listeners with one thing that you think that's concrete they could do today to elevate the level of trust with their clients.
I would actually call your top 5 clients. Do not talk at all about your business, about anything. Just ask them how they're doing and get a checkup on them. See what they're doing for Thanksgiving. Ask them what they're doing for the holidays, and don't talk about business at all.
Excellent, excellent advice. Well, thank you so much, Megan, for being with me today and sharing your insights, because access to you, to all the different listeners is awesome, because there's not that many women that are kicking it like you are in the financial world, and I really appreciate it.
No, Sue, it's been a pleasure. It's been really fun, and anything that I can do to promote you, because you are such a rock star, I am here for. So I'm excited about your book launch, and I'll be the first one in line to read it.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for being here. We'll do it again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Talk to you soon.
Thanks. Hey, I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Lead with Trust, and that wherever you're listening to this podcast, you will subscribe. And if you enjoyed this episode, send it to someone who you think can really use this message that you got today. And also, please leave us a review. Your honest review wherever you listen to your podcasts would be much appreciated. And of course, the more reviews we get, the better they are, the better for the podcast. I'm truly on a mission to get more and more people to understand that trust is the essential element. So I hope you'll be part of that. This show really exists to help you, leaders, to build your business on a foundation of trust, so that you can reap the rewards of becoming that top performer in your market. I see over and over where no one can possibly reach the levels of those people that understand how to build a high trust culture in their business. Now, today, if you're really curious about starting your trusted leader journey, you can get started right away if you just take the free Trusted Leader Profile, and you can learn where you fall along the Trusted Leader continuum. And this really can unlock your confidence on where you are and what you need to do. It's very specific on what you can do. Gives you a snapshot of your leadership style. So if you want to take that, just go to www.sudyco, SUDYCO.com, and then /profile, and you will get immediate access to the Trusted Leader Profile. Once again, that is www.sudyco, SUDYCO.com /profile. All right, that's a wrap. I just can't wait to hang out with you again on our next episode.